call tonight's select board meeting to order. Good evening. I'm going to call tonight's select board meeting to order. It's Monday, February 9th. As is our custom, if you're able to, could you please stand and we'll say pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is accounts payable warrant number 18 in the amount of $75,140.19.
I move that we approve fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 18 in the amount of $75,140.19.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to approve fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 18 in the amount of $75,140.19. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is payroll journal number 327 in the amount of $12,582.29.
Move that we approve payroll journal number 327 in the amount of $12,582.29.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to approve payroll journal number 327, the amount of $12,582.29. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is minutes of the previous meeting. We'll start with the minutes of January 21st, 2026 executive session.
That we approve the minutes of January 21st, 2026 executive session.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written on January 21st, 2026 executive session. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next are the minutes of January 27th, 2026 regular meeting.
That we approve the minutes of January 27th, 2026 regular meeting.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of January 27th, 2026 regular meeting. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comment. It's an opportunity for any resident from the town of Pownell to step forward and be heard by the select board. Are there any residents out there that would like to be heard at this time? Seeing none, I'll move on. Next item is department head reports. Department head reports can be viewed on the respective websites page. Click on the website and the report is there. Does the select board have any questions for any department heads that are present now? Kate Day? George? Neither do I. Does any select board member have anything to report out at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item on the is new business. Jennifer Peterson request to purchase map 9 lot 14. Is Miss Peterson here? Can you step forward, identify yourself, name and address, please?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Peterson. I live at 203 Chadsey Road here in Pownell. My husband Jacob Peterson and I are looking to purchase map 9 lot 14. We currently live here, and we finally got this thanks to you guys, and we're looking to just purchase this itty bitty pie piece. And that is it.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, I did send the letter to you. How do we get onto that June meeting that we had spoke about?
That's what we're here to talk.
That's what, and then that will go into that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. So there is a process.
Okay.
So once the board receives a request, the board then sets out, decides whether to move the request along, which precedent has said we move any request along.
Mhm.
Then a question goes out to all relevant committees and boards.
Mhm.
They report back to the select board. And then if the board wants to continue the process, then we put it on for a public hearing. Needs 2 public hearings, and it goes on to the town meeting. So
Okay.
we'll vote to whether to continue the process or not. And then if we do vote to continue, then it'll go out to committee members and 3-week process for them to respond, and then we'll start the process from there. So
Yep.
if we move on, I'll direct Becky to keep you in the loop.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any discussion about request to purchase map 9 lot 14? Becky, do you have anything to add here?
Just to add, so we have had extensive title search on this as we've gone through the process of knowing who owned those two lots, and we resolved one of them earlier in the year. The second piece is not a tax acquired piece. It was a piece actually donated to the town. So it's a little bit different perimeters. As we know, the state law recently changed. We can go through our own process that we currently have, which would be what John described earlier for moving forward with the sale and to the town warrant. So it's a little bit different from a tax acquired piece.
Does the board understand the distinction?
So the process is, as John just described, because it was gifted to the town.
That is correct.
So I'll entertain a motion to begin the town of Pownell request to buy town property process.
I motion that we begin the process for the purchase of map 9 lot 14.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to begin the town process of accepting a request to purchase map 9 lot 14, noting that the process next will be to request our town administrator to put out a statement to all relevant committees and boards. They in turn will return their recommendation to the select board upon review, and then we'll review that and see which way we want to go. Any other discussion on that? All in favor? So Becky Taylor Chase, would you be willing to survey relevant boards and committees?
Jennifer, there's a quick form I'm going to send you via email tomorrow just to go with your statement letter. That will just be helpful in clarifying everything.
Next item on the agenda is budget presentations. Let's start with Public Works. Libby. Between us, but. Yeah.
Facilities, because I don't know if I can see that over there. My glasses on.
I will follow along for you.
Okay.
So as this is Road Commissioner Libby's first presentation, I'm just offering a little note that we'll extend a little bit of grace, and our questions will be gentle, but make sure you ask the question you need to ask. Be there. Hopefully.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dan Libby, Road Commissioner, Public Works of Pownell. We're gonna do facilities first. Our first line item is equipment maintenance. Does anybody have any questions on that? Fine.
So Dan, maybe if there's a change, you should just explain. So why is there a 20% change, decrease in that? Just a one line.
I think because it was, they put, more in it the year before, and it seemed like that I was trying to find places where I could cut a little bit, for this year. Some stuff's gone up this year, so I thought that I had a little space there to drop that down to save a little bit on that line item. Next line item is your telephone. Anybody have any questions on that? That's went up a little, 10% more. So, just looking at the trend on it.
Just to note, the year-to-dates don't include the warrant that was approved tonight. So this is year-to-dates as of 2 weeks ago too. I think we just paid a phone bill out of tonight's
Yeah.
warrant.
Next, is our cable internet.
Do you mind explaining the increase on that one?
Looking at the trend and what we're paying, the increase, yeah, it's gone up to 100, it's up to $110 a month. So we had to increase that to cover the cost. Yeah, I forgot you put them little notes on there for me. That's why I
I'll
put-
point them out when I see the
Okay,
dates.
thank you. Electricity. We cut it a little bit. It looked like, just the trends again was, we had a little extra in there last year that we didn't use. So I figured I could, cut that a little bit.
And is that electricity, is that partially how they heat that building?
No, no,
No.
the heat in that building is propane and natural gas.
Okay.
So
So this is just like lights and
lights
appliances?
and if we're
Okay.
running the welder or, plugging in the trucks. Natural gas, that pretty much stayed the same this year. We didn't see an increase. The cell phone pretty much stayed the same so far. The propane heat, did you make a comment about that?
I did not make a comment about that.
So
'Cause it
the
was,
supplier informed you that the propane cost is gonna go up.
yes,
That's all you need to say on that one.
okay.
First page of Public Works Facilities.
Yeah, because that's what I was messing up on is,
This is your overall bottom. So at the bottom, we listed out that section of the department had a $5,015 reduction or 16% reduction in the proposed budget. So that's what that
Yeah.
bottom line is for.
all right, cool. And then the next is
Winter roads.
winter roads. Probably should have put these in order.
What one?
That one's all in order.
One's all in order.
I was looking at mine earlier. First line is we have a weather service that we monitored throughout, especially the winter service season. We use that quite heavily. That pretty much stayed the same. Equipment maintenance. We had a lot of maintenance this year at the beginning of the year, a lot of upkeep on the trucks this year, so. But,
That one had a reduction.
that had the reduction, because looking at the trend from the years before, that's why I figured that, and we hadn't, we still have money in the budget to get through this year, so I figured we could use a little reduction there, save a little bit. The salt budget, we went up a little bit. It's been a really hard winter. We have a lot of extra storms. So the last couple of years, we've had more snow. I think we're going into that wave where now we're kind of coming back into each year having a little bit more snow, so I wanted to make sure that we had enough to cover the winter. And the sand, same thing is this year's been a bad winter. We've gone through a lot of sand this year and, I just wanted to make sure that we have adequate sand for next year. Where I can see that we've really done a number on our sand this winter. De-icer. There again, I think that was a little undervalued this year. We're when you treat the roads, you use a lot of that to treat our ice, our salt. And where we've had so many storms this year, it's really taken a lot to keep the roads the way they are. So
Is,
the increases for on the de-icer.
do those products, so the salt, the sand, and the de-icer, have like a shelf life? So if we have some left from this year, is it still good next year? Or
Yeah.
if we have too much next year, would it be good the year after?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it doesn't go bad, so we use it. We had a little bit in our tanks at the beginning of the year, and we topped off at the beginning of the season. And we actually used it all. I'm actually ordering a little bit more to get through the rest of the season, so, but if we have a little bit of extra left over this year, that will go towards next year. So, yep, none of that goes to waste if we have some left over. The blades, the cost of blades have gone right through the roof because of what they told me at the dealer was the tariff. Everything comes out of Canada now, all the blades. So
I also have a note, Dan.
what's that? You do have the note on
So
that?
remember the greater blades, they were combined in this expense line.
Yes, that was another thing we changed this year was they had our grader, which does our summer maintenance in together with our winter blades. So we have separated that out and moved the grader blades into road maintenance. That is going to be new for this year, and this is just covering our winter blades. Just easier to monitor it that way. But the winter blades have gone through the roof this year just from the tariffs, so we had to add a little bit of that so we could cover them.
So just on the money side, even though you see that it stayed the same, it's because we've added an expense line for the greater blades coming up in
Right.
another section of the budget. So to account for that expense, that's why that one remained 9,900, and then you're gonna see an expense in another section for just the greater blades separated out. So we can consistently now see how much we're spending for each, having them separate.
And on this week's warrant, I had purchased a new cutting edge for one of the trucks, which was $3,000. So that's gonna go down. I think it was like $3,700 worth of cutting edges I just bought, but it was on this week's warrant. So it'll come out next week. That's it for,
Quick question
Yeah.
regarding the salt line item.
yep.
From budget of 26 was 55,000, then the request for 27 is 60, but it shows the increase was only $500. I just, wanted to make sure that that was full 5,000.
It's because your town administrator can't do math from time to time. I'll fix that.
Also, in looking at the salt too, from 2025, the budget was 52,000, but actual is 75,000. I think.
Well, that was the thing. I think even last year, wasn't it a little bit
Lot of
over?
ice.
Yeah, it was a little over on them last year, so, but this year we're doing pretty good. I've kind of done a little different with the salt and trying to conserve it. But it's working, the roads are open. So I'm hoping to stay within the budget this year, and if everything works good this year, we should be set next year, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it is. I was looking at that, like, past years were and we've had a pretty rugged winter this year, but I think the way we're doing it right now, the roads are opening up and I'm trying to conserve as much salt as I can, as we go. So I think we'll be all set for next year.
There were a lot of ice events a
This
couple of
year.
winters too ago versus just snow events, and the treatment is completely different. I've learned a lot in sitting down and looking at this budget with Dan.
Any questions on,
It's a no.
the previous one?
That's the first line
Mhm.
of the call.
I can explain it if you'd like.
Yeah.
I was just pointing out your no,
Yeah.
that's all.
So on the COG, you become a member for that. I'm gonna look into that this year, too, is to see if, if we can get in with the COG and maybe get a better price on our salt and our diesel this year. I got some mail, some emails from them. And I don't know if we've done that in the past. You have.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely gonna look in that and see if we can kind of save on some of our, get a better price on salt this year and on our diesel.
You purchased salt this year as independent?
We purchased it from COG this year. It was from COG. And you can do the state of Maine and COG. I'm gonna try to do them both this year and see who has the best price. I heard that the state of Maine had a cheaper price this year than COG, but that's who we chose to go with, so. It's gotta be there, yes. It's, we've had a little problem this year with, salt, being out, so I think we've done well for what we've had for salt this year, for the issues we've had going on, so.
And just to clarify, Andy had a question when I presented that Public Works GP cog membership is under the town. This 500 is a collective bidding vendor fee. So if we
Yeah.
choose to use them, we get a fee for joining in on that. So
Yeah.
we got some good distinction about those two budget lines.
Right. Any questions on that? Next one is equipment maintenance,
State vehicle inspection.
but didn't we roll that into we kind of rolled this. There was a separate line item for this, state vehicle inspections, but it all gets paid out when we go to a maintenance shop. They roll it all together. So we kind of just put it together. It just seems more fit. It's part of maintenance when we take these trucks out and get them, inspected. So we've moved the money from the state inspection right into the, equipment maintenance line item. And, we stayed even on that. We've done pretty good at, utilizing the money we have had. The vehicles are in pretty good shape, so I'm feeling confident that we'll be all set for next year. And we've done a lot of work on the trucks this year, and I'm hoping then that's gonna carry us through next year. We won't have to do as much. So that's why I kind of kept it where it's at.
So Dan, where, if approved, will a warranty for the Western Star, what line will that come from? Will you need to add? Is that a one time, so I'm just trying to make sure that this budget works for,
Right.
is that a one-time purchase?
That's a one-time purchase.
So
It's for 5 years, and I think that's the best plan for the town. Looking at what it costs to fix these vehicles now.
Yeah.
I think I think right out of the equipment budget, that's where I was thinking it would come out of.
Okay, well, I'm putting the cart before the horse. Let's see if it gets approved, then we can talk about where it goes.
Okay.
Is there any money left over from the CI, capital projects money that went into that Western Star that has not?
I think we gave it back, right?
The
What-
Western Star was the most recent one, right?
Yeah.
We have not given that back.
Oh.
So we'll need to look at that, but the
okay.
practice is once a capital project is done, any monies that weren't spent is returned to the capital account.
Okay.
Good point, Andy. We may go and bend a knee to the committee and see if they might loosen up.
On that. Okay. Sounds good.
I can let you know that tomorrow, Dan.
Okay. That sounds great. I didn't think of that. I thought that already went back. After we sold that other truck and everything, I thought that money already got returned, so. Tires, it looked it looks like I haven't spent none this year, but I just put tires, had to buy some and was in the warrant this week. And there's some that we have to purchase soon. We're looking into tires for the front of the backhoe, so that line item will go down. Tires are expensive right now. Any question on that? Oil and fluids, I haven't really spent much money on that this year right now, but, I'm gonna probably be purchasing some of that within the next month or so, top off our tanks and everything, so. That just stayed the same. Shop supplies,
We reduced that one.
yeah. We hadn't used, a lot of it, so I figured that was a place that we could save a little bit in shop supplies.
Any questions about fleet maintenance page? Okay.
Fuels, gasoline, we went up a little bit for that.
Went down.
Went down just a little bit for that, because still learning the trends on that. We haven't had that tank for very long, so we'll be able to monitor a little bit better this year and see how the trend goes on what we're using out of that. And the diesel, pretty much so far I've seen the price pretty much staying for what we're buying, and I kind of want to shop around this year too from other vendors and see if I can maybe get a little bit better deal on diesel this year, maybe through COG.
Purchased through Freeport now?
No, we have our own tank, so we go right through our diesel companies where we get our unleaded now.
Is it Rinaldi? that we're getting it
Rinaldi
through?
is they're doing pretty good at getting it to us.
And we don't have many vehicles that are using gasoline. Most of our fleet is diesel.
Most of it's diesel. We have 2 pickups that are unleaded gas, and then our tools run off unleaded gas that we have. But most of the big equipment and the trucks are diesel. Yeah. So we kind of have to have both.
Any questions about fuel?
I'm gonna make the assumption, Dan, and assume that you separate out the fire department's fuel from public works' itself.
Yes, we do. Yep. Road maintenance.
Yep.
Dust control, I still have some left over from last year. We had a good year, not a lot of rain, so our dust control program really did a good job. So I have some left over for this coming year. So I kept that the same. The price seems to be staying, the same as last year, so. Professional services, that's if we need to hire, say, a flagger for a day or something like that, that comes in. That's what that line item's for. I kept it the same. We hadn't used it yet this year, so. Pavement and rehab, that's the big one.
We have notes too.
Yeah.
We have lots of notes on this
Yeah.
one.
Any questions on that? I know that's quite an increase, but
Paving plan.
yeah, I was planning on doing Hodgson Road and Allen Road. That's kind of our 2 roads that's starting to show a lot of wear. I went out and got prices for them, and the prices that really have gone through the roof compared to last year. We did about the same amount of roads last year for, one was like 51,000, one was like 60 something thousand. Well, I have my prices, I brought them with me. It's like 190,000 from one company and like 200 and something thousand from another company to do the same miles of road. That's how bad it's gone, so, that's the reason for the increase. That's shim and overlay, and, you know, we did Vero Road and Chatsey Road last year, shim and overlay, and, you know, Vero was 51,000 and Chatsey was like 60 something thousand. But then doing that same amount of road right now, one company is like, they told me Hodgson Road, 240,000 to do, one of the companies to do overlay, shim and overlay for Hodgson Road. That's the difference. It's amazing how much it's gone up since last year from Crooker and Shaw Brothers. And I got a couple other players giving me some prices, but it's really gone up high. So that's why I've asked for extra money this year. And maybe we'll only be able to do one road this year, the most worst, which is Hodgson Road.
And in 6 months, we don't even know what that cost could look
Yeah.
like even more, so.
And I brought my numbers with me tonight. If anybody wants to look at the bids I already have, it's crazy how bad it's gone up for this year.
Is there any thought to, New England paving?
Yeah, go to chip seal.
Chip seal?
From talking to my, next door neighbors, the other road commissioners and stuff, everybody's getting away from that process.
Because
It doesn't hold up as well as they thought it was gonna hold up. So that's why they said that everybody that I've talked to said they're going away from it. I can look into it
can you just get a quote
and get
from,
some,
was it New England paving? Was that, I think,
Sean.
Allstate?
Allstate. I called Allstate. They giving me a price. That's what I'm waiting for a price right now with Allstate for hot top.
Chip seal.
That has been chip sealed already. Yeah. That road has been chip sealed.
But Allen Road hasn't been.
No. Allen Road's, if we had to, we could hold off on that. It's starting to get
Yep.
potholes in it, but but it should be done, should be considered.
So would you please ask Allstate for a quote, chip
Yep.
seal up
Yep.
Allen Road?
Okay.
That's from.
We can do that.
Elmwood, right?
What's that?
Looking for Sweetser.
Reach to Elmwood. The rest of it's in really pretty good shape. So it's just that section we seem to be having a problem with.
Tree work.
Tree work. We have notes on that.
We don't have notes on that, but you talked about how there was extensive amount of tree work that needed to be done
Yeah, and that's why we're
around
bringing
town,
it
so
up.
you wanted to bring it up to get that work done.
Yeah, it's, looking into tree work and stuff, that price has gone through the roof to get somebody to come in. We have some trees on Libby Road and they're in the wires, so it's something that we really gotta get somebody to come in that can go up and pull them trees down, with a bucket truck or, climb them. I'm not really sure, the way to do it, but, when I talked to one gentleman, it's like, a significant amount now they're getting for doing trees. He's coming back from Florida. I'm gonna have him give me a price. He didn't give me a price that when I talked to him before, so I'm gonna get a price on it, but I went up because I really think that needs to come up a little bit to handle that. If we get a bad tree in town that we need to take down, so.
If they're in the wires, isn't that a CMP responsibility?
Well, they're close enough to the wires that CMP it's not affecting their wires. It's in that range, but they're dead and they're, over next to wires where we couldn't take them down. They have to come down in sections. the way they're leaning.
We did get a letter in today's mail from CMP that they're doing tree work in town again this year as well. So it might be worth conversation with them.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we could respond and say, where are you working?
right.
And at least you could coordinate.
Yeah, if they're gonna be down there.
I'd much prefer to have them.
Yeah, I can reach out. I got the letter today, so I can reach out to them and see how that works. See if that's something that they can address. I know the homeowner reached out to me to look at them, so that's where I was looking into it, and they are like right over next to the power line, so.
Okay, well, maybe you could get back to that homeowner and give a little plug for, they must have called CMP if they're near the wires.
Yeah. I don't know if they did. I know they asked me about it, but I don't know. Yeah, I can ask them, reach back out and say, did you call CMP to see? I know they have a tree part of CMP is just for trees that people can call if they have an issue. So, yeah, I'll look into that and see if that's some,
Right away, CMP is pretty clear.
yeah. Okay. Yep, I'll reach out to them.
Equipment rental.
Rental. Yeah, we kept equipment rental. That's what we use if we need to get a man lift or if we're gonna rent like the road, to bush hog the side of the road and stuff. We use that line to rent equipment like that. So I kept it the same for now. And the crack sealing and chip seal, I left that alone.
And you have a plan to address the roads with certain area roads with that product?
Yes,
So
yep,
That's part of the road maintenance. Good.
yeah, because we did some of Hodgson Road and we'll probably use some of that this year again when things, when winter's gone, we'll probably do some more of Hodgson Road crack sealing and I was looking to Merrill Road could use a little bit.
Coordinate with some of the surrounding towns, so when they're doing it, we jump on the bandwagon maybe.
Yeah, because I think when we did it last year, Durham used the machine right after us. They used the crack seal machine, the one that we rented, so.
Is that like is there savings in coordinating?
Yeah,
Longer rent, big room area things.
yeah, I'll have to reach out and ask them about that. I know also our roadside mowing, we rented a tractor and then once we were done with it, it went right to Durham, so. Maybe if we all get together, we can get a better price on it. Surveying, I kept that the same. I hadn't used that yet this year. Line painting. We went up a little bit on that, what we had budgeted for last year, didn't really cover all of it, so I increased it for next year to be able to cover all the line painting that we do. There's a little shortfall there. And then the roadside mowing, I kept that the same. And that's with renting we rent a tractor every year and we do the sides, but road signs, I haven't used any, but that's another thing. We've put a bunch of signs out. I just haven't made an order, so pretty soon when things slow down, I'm gonna make an order this year for replacing the signs that we've put up. throughout the year. So that's why that shows I haven't used it, but I am gonna make an order to replace the ones that we've put up through town. We did have quite a problem with people stealing them early this year. It's kind of slowed down. I think it was when the college kids were going back to college. And miscellaneous,
It stayed the same.
yeah, it just stayed the same. And then gravel. Did we have anything on this?
We didn't have a note on gravel.
I don't remember what we discussed that on that one.
You have a project on any dirt road that you're gonna shape up or
Well, I think
materials?
last year, we in the spring, we did use a lot of gravel, so it's like, I figured with the, the winter we're having this year, I'm sure that we're gonna have have our hands full this spring. When the thaw happens, we'll be on the dirt roads, so I think that's why it went up a little bit.
This is your new line of.
Yeah, this is the new line with the grader blade. We separated and moved the money over for the grader blades. And like I said, the blades, from what they're saying, they're all coming out of Canada and the price of them has gone up. Erosion control.
Culverts.
Oh, I missed the culverts. Oh, there it is. Culverts. I kept that the same. We haven't spent any, but there again, I'll be ordering some here in April to get set up for when we work on Hodgson Road. I'll be purchasing my culverts to repair that road. And then patch. We're just starting to use it this time of year, so I'll be probably purchasing some of that pretty soon.
We're not sure why it didn't have a budget line last year. I don't remember the historical reason beyond that. So we put it back into the budget this year.
It's definitely, we definitely use it. Last couple of years, we've had places where we've put out patch, so. Erosion control. I just felt we didn't use what we had before, so we dropped that down just a little bit.
So Dan, who patches the Allen Road Bridge? Who patches the underpass there? Do we patch that?
We've been, we patch, sometimes if it's really bad, but that state, a lot of times we turn to them, but if they're dragging their feet, sometimes we'll go and take care of a bad spot, versus letting cars pound it down through, but usually like up there, even that tree that came down this year and closed the road off, we went up and moved the tree out of the way because the state would have been days getting up there, and that's a major route for people coming to Beans and stuff in the morning, so.
So when we patch that ad nauseum, do we bill the state for that?
I don't think we ever have.
That's
So-
something that, because they're talking to the town about ameliorating the problem down there, but I think
Okay.
the reality is it would put a little fire under their feet if we started billing them for
Yep.
the maintenance work there, so.
I'll have to look into that and see, because, it's definitely helped them out, some of the stuff we've done over the years,
Absolutely. You
Up
did a
through
great job
there.
picking that up.
to keep traffic flowing through there for us, for the town of Pownell, even though it's a state road, you gotta do what you gotta do to keep the roads open.
Yeah.
So
Right, so you'll look into that?
I'll look into that and see how that works. Who's control that? Rose Crow's last one of that.
Yep.
Office supplies, I've used a few, but I kind of kept that even, and safety equipment. We did purchase a lot of safety equipment this year. Everybody's outfitted, so I felt like shouldn't have to buy a lot of it again next year. So I kind of kept the line even. We spent a little money in tools. There's a couple things we got to get to replace this year in the shop for tools. I just gotta look into prices and see what it costs to replace them. So, but I kept it, I think there's enough money there I kept it even with the shop tools for now. And
This is your admin
that's, okay,
dues and memberships.
dues and memberships, pretty much, kept it the same. Most of my dues I saw that come in were, stayed the same. They didn't go up, so, I pretty much kept that even. Health screenings. Pretty much we use that when we have new hires and stuff. I kept that the same. The drug testing, why did we
The trend. 'Cause
we just looked at the trend
Yeah,
and
we've already spent over this year's budget by $23, so we brought it up.
brought it up just a little bit. And this year too, we had a new employee, so we did spend a little bit more, getting that individual ready for work, so. Cell phone, we kept the same. Training. So, there again, that was like, we were looking at
We brought that up because you have a plan to bring in Safety Works
Yes.
once a year to do like a full day's training of all the stuff that were required for the department. So we wanted to make sure that we had the funds in for training for the staff.
so we did a lot of training this year. And the best way to go with that is a lot of the other towns do is you have Safety Work comes, it's a fee to have them come in. But they come in the first of the year, your budget year, and they train on everything, one day, and everything you need for your annual training is done in that day. It's really a way, and they also go over our shop and give us any advice. If there's something that we should update or that we're lacking, they'll straighten us out so we don't get a fine. I think it's the best way to do it to stay ahead of the curve. So we kind of put that up a little bit more.
Uniforms.
Uniforms, we kept that pretty much the same. And the IT,
You want me to talk about that?
yeah, you talk.
Okay.
that.
So I have asked this year that Public Works and Public Safety include an IT line. As we have grown with offering Microsoft Office package, adding in the Microsoft Copilot line and the cost of the hosting the emails, the fire chief has moved over now to panelmain.org email. General government had been covering all those costs, but I have asked that they break out into each department now. So there'll be a new line in both Public Safety and Public Works for their share of the ION networking IT monthly monitoring. So that's what that line is.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is a question from the public?
Shane Brady from Allen Road. I just had a question about if the training was $5,000 this year, why did we only go up on the budget $1,000?
I'm happy to answer that. So the training included a Department of Labor audit this year that we didn't know was going to happen. That is a one-time thing that happens every few years randomly. We don't expect it to happen again next year, which is why we didn't include costs to cover that. That is where, after we had that audit, we determined bringing in Safety Works made the most cost-effective sense in training the crew in one day and getting it done and being in compliance with Department of Labor standards that we're required to be. So I did just quick little math at the end of the operating budget. So last year's budget was 564, 810. This year's proposed budget, operating budget is 646, 754, or a 15% increase based on the numbers that Dan has presented to you tonight.
And the large drivers would be the paving.
It is,
Paving, yes,
yeah.
that's the biggest one there.
So that's a, budget committee and select board discussion. We should have that discussion on, we need to keep up our roads, but is this the time? And so that's a good topic to kick around. The road commissioner has presented his budget and we'll direct our recommendations and you'll direct your recommendations to the town. So, and the road commissioner will not be offended. The recommendation, but just, it's always good to have
Right,
ground rules.
yep,
Pretty excellent job.
thank you.
First budget, that's an excellent job. Any comments?
Was there anything else?
Sure, Mr. Danza.
No, I understand prices are not getting any cheaper.
And, tried to keep a lot of stuff if I could even, cause I knew that just like cutting edges and the maintenance part of stuff is really going through the roof, just like the hot top is, so I tried to cut where I could and, keep it down.
Giving us topics for discussion.
I do agree with John that you might wanna check with CMP about the
Tree work,
pre-work on.
tree work is so expensive.
If they're gonna do it, then I think I can see a cut there.
Okay. Tree surface.
Correct.
Keep that. For you.
I'll look into that tomorrow.
Any questions for Mr. Libby? None.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
So, but was there anything else
You covered it.
that we did the,
You're all good. Compensation happens in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
cool, thank you.
All right, next, budget presentation is the Recreation Committee, Kathy Hoag.
Kathy, do you want me to screen share your documents?
Sure.
I mean, I have them, so I can.
That'll be fun.
I don't want to try this now. You just let me know
Yep.
when you want to scroll. here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start with, that's just my letter of, I'm on a different committee. I don't have a long budget like Danny did and just asking for one number. But I just think it's nice for you guys to kind of know what we did in the past year. Our two events that we are co-sponsoring are going really great, are good attendance, so that's been fun to have. At least good 4 community events every year, so the Bradbury Mountain Arts potlucks have been going once a month, there've been 30 to 40 people here every time. Open mic nights is still going strong, so those have been great. Community Day is good, Pumpkin Fest is good, so that's where we're at. We're not planning to add any other events. That we felt like we're trying to just do what we do as well as we can. There's only 4 of us in the committee, so, can spread the work so far. So this year, last year at Pumpkin Festival, which is our biggest event, we had Mr. Drew, like Exotic Animals, and he was a hit. It was great. He was worth every penny. We'd like to ask him again, but not every year. We're looking for something different this year, but trying to keep it more in that educational kind of fun. Haven't come up with anything yet, but we're working on that. If you notice from our Pumpkin Festival, this one back, just our expenses, we spent more money than we made last year, so we're trying to work on other ways of earning revenue at the event. And one thing we're gonna do this year is, somebody asked us last year, you're a pumpkin festival, how come you don't have any pumpkins? Good question. Usually the impact has the kids at the school bring a lot of pumpkins, and that just didn't happen this year. So we've got some of us here in town who are going to grow pumpkins to sell at the Pumpkin Fest. So if we have a good season, we'll have pumpkins to sell. So that'll be another form of revenue toward our events. So one of the things that we really like and that makes a festival festive is good music. And last year we had really good music. We'd like to keep it. They both have said they would come back. We'd like to just pay them a little bit more. They've been doing it for practically nothing. So the amount I'm asking you this year is $1,000, and that really pays our performers each $100 each for the two bands. So that's my request. Any questions?
No, Kathy, but I have a suggestion that been kicking around the panel school is if this would be a speculative venture, if the recreation committee would like to go to like Johnny Selected Seeds and buy some pumpkin seeds for the elementary school kids, 1 or 2 apiece, and maybe they could be your pumpkin suppliers for a cough test.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, so
We do have some people already that are going to do it too. So I will,
school is poised and ready
that's perfect.
for someone to go in with a presentation like that.
Okay. Who should I contact? The principal?
You could contact Nancy Rochat. She is the social worker there, and
Nancy Rowe?
Rochat.
Oh,
You'll find
got it.
her under the same phone number as Jim.
Great. Perfect.
That'd be great if we had pumpkins.
Yes, it would.
So if we gave them 2 pumpkin seeds, and they'd have a pumpkin plant. You could have a carving contest from 1 pumpkin plant, and you could have a sales,
Right.
or you could sell carved pumpkins.
Or-
Think of the revenue, the recreation.
I know.
Your Brinks truck. Thank you very much.
We're trying, yep. Any other questions? No?
So the question for discussion for both groups would be, would you be willing to approve extra money for a bon ton relay?
I think that the pumpkin festival, especially is important to the sense communities in the town. I personally don't have an issue.
I just have a question about the impact fees. Don't impact fees, doesn't some of that money go to the recreation committee? So then what can they do with it?
Have anything. That means that-
If we had a field or playground at the town, then it could go towards that.
Interesting.
But just a caveat, as the pumpkin festival grows,
Of infrastructure.
there will be more infrastructure. They might be need to have a stage that we could put in storage, or maybe, like Key, New Hampshire, we'll have to have display racks for all the pumpkins, that line Route 9 up and down from corner.
Be retired by then.
But I mean.
Is the ice skating rink? Is the ice skating rink considered infrastructure, and is that the impact fee, and that's the recreation committee?
Here we contribute for the liner.
Okay.
The town helped pay for the rink, and RSU does it 1 year, the liner.
Gotcha.
That's a good question. And we're trying to figure out how to make our impact fee ordinance more responsive to questions just like that. Okay. Nice job, Kathy. The next committee is the Solid Waste Committee. Dan, you're up.
All right, so I'm Dan Nelson, Solid Waste and Recycling Committee Chair. We'll just go through the budget request for fiscal year 2027. So the first line item is the EcoMaine tipping fees. So EcoMaine actually is only raising the cost of these by 3%, which is significantly lower than previous years. So it's going from 107.50 per ton to 110.75. And for context, last year, we ended up having to raise this 39% overall. But you'll notice that my request is actually a 15% increase and not just a 3% increase. And that's purely just because Pownell residents are producing on average like 2 tons more per month of trash than they were the previous year. And that it's been the 3rd year in a row that the amount of trash people are throwing out has gone up. I didn't expect it would go up by 2 tons, but just looking at previous trends, it seems as though we should expect it to continue rising for fiscal year 2027 as well.
Does that include recycling, tipping fee?
That's just trash, just municipal solid waste, yeah. And then I think we also have some new homes being completed, which will lead to more tonnage as well. So just looking at a 15% increase to assume an additional potential 2 ton per month increase again next year. For context, like right now, Pownell's averaging 30 tons a month. I'm hoping that 32 tons a month as a guess for next year will cover it, but we're actually, despite the 39% increase from fiscal year 26 or 25 to 26, we're still on pace to be slightly over budget by like 1.5 or $1,500 for fiscal year 26 for municipal solid waste. So next one is solid waste hauling. So one quick note about this, the number that you see on there, the 71,654 for year to date, the actuals is higher than the budgeted amount, and it's just due to a contract amendment mix-up with Casella. So Casella has spoken to Becky, and they've credited our account, and the total at the end of the year will come to the 121,562. And then for fiscal year 2027, we should just inspect the automatic 5% increase because the consumer price index was 4.6% based on the information I could find on the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. So just for context, if it's over 5%, the yearly amount will go up by whatever that higher number is. If it's under 5%, it's an automatic 5% increase.
That seems fair.
Contractual.
That's contractual, yeah. And we're entering our 4th year of a 5-year contract with Casella. Next one on here is our septic contract with Lewis and Auburn Water Pollution Control. And this is just going to stay the same at $250. No increase there. This contract continues through the end of December 2027. And for the Pownell Pride Day scrap metal cleanup, just asking for another $1,500 again. That covers the cost of 2 mailers going out to residents. Last year, we were able to go a little bit under, or I guess technically this year, for fiscal year 2026, we were able to be a little bit under budget because we were able to include a insert in one of the other town mailers, get our cost a little lower, but this would cover the cost of 2 standalone mailers. All right, pay-as-you-throw bags. So this one, we no longer use those, 0. And then this is the one where things get a little bit interesting. EcoMaine recycling tipping fees. So EcoMaine is raising the cost of tipping fees for recycling from $85 per ton to $110.75 per ton, so a 30% increase. And for the first time I know of, it actually doesn't cost any less to recycle now than it does to throw stuff in the trash can. A little bit of context as to why this is happening, and I can go into more detail if people want, but 2 things are happening right now with EcoMaine. One is just that the cost of recyclables isn't what it used to be. They can't make as much money selling it as they used to. EcoMaine is also in the process of opening a brand new recycling facility, which has been an expensive process to build. And starting at some point in 2027, expected, I think, in the fall of 2027, I want to make sure I get this right. The extended producer responsibility reimbursements will start coming to towns based off of their cost of recycling. So we will start seeing some reimbursements for the costs that we pay as a town for recyclables. However, we won't know any information about how much to expect until the stewardship program is officially in effect, which is going to happen later this spring. Essentially, some sort of third-party company will be determining what the reimbursement rates will look like. And we don't have any information on that right now, but we can expect no reimbursements for fiscal year 2027 and them to start at some point in fiscal year 2028, hopefully. And so we're looking at a 22% budget request increase there, just based on both, essentially just based on the recycling tipping fee increase. Panel residents are actually not really recycling any more tonnage than they were the previous year.
Yeah. So I know you've done a lot of customer survey work, and this feels like, to me, anecdotally, people are very to be satisfied with the bins. And the downside of that is that the bins allow a lot more trash to be thrown out. So would you agree, as the committee talked about, so to go up to, go up that much, I don't think we can say it's due to new residents moving into town. So there has to be some other behavior driving that. Would you say the bins are helping drive that behavior?
Yes, but I have a few thoughts on this.
Please.
Just sort of from casual observation, this isn't like based in any scientific study. I think the first year we had the bins, people were very worried, like maybe if I place it wrong or if I put too much stuff into it, it won't get picked up. And over time, people have started thinking, maybe if I have an extra bag sticking at the top and the lid doesn't close, I'll give it a try and see what happens. And what they found is that it still gets picked up, and that's just encouraging behavior of people sort of testing the limits of what's possible to fit into a bin and then saying, oh, this worked, I'm going to keep throwing that much out. I think that's certainly happened to an extent. I think as far as the survey responses go, it sort of brings an interesting question sort of for the budget committee to think about, which is that I think 90+% of people who responded to the survey want to keep the current system as is. And I think over 100 people said that the convenience of the bins is their top priority, and only I think 20 people or so said that cost savings for the town is their top priority. So solid waste and recycling doesn't seem to be an area that residents would like to find savings in. All that said, yeah.
No, but that's really important. As we deliberate on this budget, I mean, this is all behavioral. This is all people choosing to have their tax bill go up because they want to throw away whatever they want to throw away and they don't want to reduce their packaging consumption or anything like that. I think it's a fairly, this is fairly compelling evidence right here that when you had to pay for a bag, you had to stuff as much as you could in that bag. Your behavior, your behavior was sort of dictated by the volume that you got out of that bag. But now that you have a much larger volume bin, like que sera, sera, right?
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where like, if we were to say, well, why don't we get people smaller bins, the cost of replacing all the bins would probably offset the cost of the saving and tipping fees. And then the other thing too, is I don't think people necessarily want that, just based on the survey responses that we got as a committee.
Any questions for, on this budget here?
I just have a couple of comments based on sitting in on meetings, things that have been brought up. And one is that at some point, there probably will be sort of a cap on how much people are throwing away simply because they're filling the bins and they can't be filled anymore. And then the other thing that has been mentioned in the past was that other towns have kept pay-as-you-throw bags with the bins, which ends up being, a cost to residents, but then maybe generating sort of some income to offset. And the discussion around that was related to how to enforce that people were using the bags. So.
Yeah, and it's worth noting too that like when we first switched to the automated system with Casella, the town and residents had the option to keep pay-as-you-throw bags. And that went up for vote at town meeting, and people voted to get rid of those. And I think there was also concern that we would have to make like a $10,000+ investment in artificial intelligence cameras on the garbage trucks to be able to tell if people are actually using the pay-as-you-throw bags or not, since there's no employee checking each bag before throwing it into the truck. And so based on what we know of that idea being brought to residents, people don't want to do that either. The only other comment too that Kate, you mentioned about the potential cap. So this budget request is based on an assumption of 32 tons per month for fiscal year 2027, but there have been multiple months where people have thrown out 36 tons. So there's a lot more that people could throw out if they wanted to. 36, I think, is the highest I've ever seen, and that might be the ultimate cap potentially, but it's hard to say.
But there is a ceiling. I mean, at some point in time, everybody can't stuff. We had a huge consumption part.
Yeah, there is a limit, but the limit is more than the 32 tons that I'm basing this on.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why we try to keep the pay for bag line item on, because that's the user fee that is the only known possibility to put taxation back on the people who are actually using the service. I'm not sure we'll ever go through town meeting, but I don't, my preference is not to take that off the budget until we see how far south this is going to go.
Yeah, and one other thing I'd say too is that last year we did a full mailer insert that talked about just what's the tipping fee for recycling, what's the tipping fee for trash, helping residents understand that Casella and EcoMaine are two totally different entities, and the less you throw out, the lower your taxes will be. That clearly didn't have an impact. And then we also did the community day where the 5th grade class did a bunch of presentations on trash and recycling. They did a great job. It certainly seemed like people enjoyed what they did, but the numbers show that it didn't really have an actual impact on behavior.
Well, thanks for doing that. I mean, that's really an important service. And then, we have met the enemy and they are us, right?
And really, contractually, our hands are tied with what we have here.
And the only other thing I would say too about the EcoMaine and Casella are very different. Like EcoMaine is a community-owned nonprofit, and we have some level of say in voting on price increases and voting on the new facility and all of that. And my understanding is that like almost all the votes at EcoMaine board meetings are unanimous votes where all the towns sort of agree with EcoMaine's recommendations. And, obviously what I was told from talking to the recycling director there is that the actual cost to recycle is $130 per ton. So even though they're increasing it 30% to $110.75, EcoMaine is still taking a loss on recycling, at least as the new building is being completed.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
$20 at the delivery day of some houses.
So having had the reports, you are welcome to stay, but free to fly. Thank you very much. When will we?
In 2 weeks, and if memory serves, it is Public Safety, Pownell Center Water Association, Cemetery, and Revenues at the next one. We'll have your budget sheets out to you next week.
Generator came in handy this year. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Budget Committee. All right, next item on the agenda is future facilities update. Come on up.
Good evening. I'm going to sit. I just thought I'm Kyler Fiegels, member of the Future Facilities Committee. And now I'm going to take a seat. I do have a handout.
Tyler?
The top page is site plan. That's the most current plan at this point. BH2M came up with a couple of concept plans that we reviewed. Most specifically, Jesse and Dan and I went over it. And this is the result of that conversation. If you would like to, I can go over why we configured it the way we did. No, good.
This cover is the current configuration that you're.
It is. There will be some minor modifications. They missed a couple of minor things. But I expect that this will be the plan that largely used. Let's see. We keep coming back to the definition of shovel ready on this project. And we now have, I would say, a much better handle on what that means. Isabel has been doing some outstanding work for us. And our last meeting, she gave us a much clearer idea of what we need to do to move forward. I had asked BH2M to give us some cost projections on the permitting process for the site design portion of this work. And you'll see on, where am I? On the second page is their email response in which they go through it all and come up with a total of approximately $150,000 for site permitting. And we can go through it, but it's all there. And that is that's the primary reason we're here tonight, is to recommend that you release. I would say that they've got an estimate of $150,000. I would ask for 170, just so we don't have to come back again. They are not exactly sure, but I would think that would be slightly in excess of 10%. That is what this is based on. Isabella's recommendation. She believes that we need this site permitting as in part to satisfy the terms of being shovel ready.
That's for grant purposes.
That is for, yes, thank you for that clarification. That is in order for us to apply for the grants. Basically, in talking to Isabella and looking over the grant application form, they want to be absolutely comfortable in any grant they give. They want to be absolutely comfortable that the project will be built. And part of that is permitting, part of that is the effort that we put into it, that any given town puts into it. And so that is basically what we're doing. Now, let's see. Let me look at my notes now that I've spoken all the. I know that in the last week or so, there have been some questions about whether permitting is technically a part of the warrant article. And that, the warrant article is, or a review of the warrant article is the last page of this handout. And toward the bottom, it says, if I understand this correctly, the amended articles will read, and he only typed out one, all three warrant articles have exactly the same wording, to see if the town will transfer from the unassigned fund balance and appropriate up to $455,000 for the Future Facilities Committee for the following project: documents for the proposed future co-located fire station and public works facility. So that's what the wording is, and the question comes down to whether or not what we are applying for tonight fits within that wording. And my argument would be yes. This is something that I've just gotten my head wrapped around in the last couple of weeks. As an architect, excuse me, as an architect, I think of permitting in terms of building permitting. However, building permitting doesn't take place until all site permitting has been done. You know, I cannot go, nobody can go before, you know, can request a building permit unless all the site permits are in place. And BH2M was very clear in their proposal that the site design, unlike architectural design, site design is an iterative process. I asked them if they could go through the entire design without having to make application. And they said, not really, because we have to speak to the various different agencies to determine what it is they want, their requirements. So it is an iterative process and a necessary part of the civil engineering process. So that's why I believe that this qualifies under the warrant article. Questions?
I have questions, yes, and I appreciate that you Googled this, but this is obviously going to have to go to the town attorney, because there's a warrant item that was decided by town. And the question is the warrant item clear enough to have an average person understand what they were approving? Now, your first proposal was very specific about what you were going to ask the money for. This is an addition that requires me to think. And I've been in this process for 3 years. I'm not quite sure that without attorney approval, I can agree with your assumption. Now, I'm not questioning your.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Saying that as a member of the board, I would say that I would like to be able to say, this is the committee's interpretation of the warrant item. Do you agree with it?
Mm-hmm.
That way I'll feel much better about saying where we are answering the town meeting vote as close to what the interpretation of this warrant item for the average person. Okay, that would just be mine. I'm only one of three, so I'm very interested to hear what the other.
So one thing that popped up on my mind, John, was BH2M was pretty clear in their proposal that we signed that any permitting fees were gonna be up to the town. So if we entered into the contract at that point, like, we should have known that this amount of money was coming. Maybe not quite this much, but that some was coming.
You're absolutely right. But and the word iterative has a lot of meanings. My question is, so how much iterative are we allowing the committee to extend from a town meeting vote? Kate?
How much of those funds have been used so far? Of the 455?
$67,000.
We have only actually paid out one invoice. It was on the warrant tonight and it was for about $3,000 so far of the up to 95 that you have approved so far.
That's, the contract with BH2M is for $67,000. That is all the money that we've asked for out of the 455,000.
And this 150 would be on top of that.
That's correct.
And at that point, is the project grant application ready?
No, there are other things that we have to do. We are moving in that direction. I believe that we can put together a very strong application in the next 2 or 3 months. And interestingly, these applications or the forms are typically issued by now, this time of year. But given the state of the federal government right now, they have not been, and we don't know when they will be. And that works to our advantage if we are able to move relatively quickly. I mean, I'm not advocating that we rush into anything, but we may have a shot at doing it this year. Personally, I mean, I just point out that would be to our advantage. Susan Collins is the head of the Appropriations Committee. She is at risk in the next election. If we lose her, we lose seniority and we lose favored status.
So are you able to anticipate how much more money is needed before you're ready to apply for grants?
Not quite. I can have an answer for you next month. Isabel said that the Appropriations Committee wants to see any application or any applicant absolutely committed to the project. And one metric is that an applicant spend approximately 5% of the total project cost in preparation for making application. 5% of $6 million is 400,000. I do not anticipate that we will need to spend that much, but I can't give you an answer right now. But that includes money that the town has already spent. I mean, Port City, that study that, Becky and I have been talking about putting together, compiling a list of all of the expenses that we've incurred so far towards this project.
It might be helpful to have that if we're going to run this by, well, it might be helpful to have them.
Okay.
Which list is that?
Well, you just referred to Becky and you could come together with a list.
Becky's working on the list, but she's kind of.
Maybe we can, if we're gonna check with the lawyer about the wording from town meeting warrant and not make a decision on this now, maybe we can also have that list.
When we talk, okay, yeah. And my question to you is, would it be possible for me or members of the committee to speak to the lawyer?
Well, the question, there are two separate questions. I think one question, which is pretty simple, which would be send this request along with the warrant item. Well, you've already got it in the package here. So Mr. McCall, does this warrant item cover this request? I mean, that's a 5-minute conversation. What do you think, Becky? You're looking
Yep.
at me like.
Nope, I can have that quick conversation tomorrow. Real quick on the expenditures, I think there's already a history of that, maybe with the committee already. I have not had a chance to even consider looking at that with other stuff going on in the office, so. Susan, you had a question anyway, right? You want to come up?
Please.
Since I'm kind of asking you a question too.
Susan Peters, Allen Road. So the questions we've had, Isabel's expenses
Mhm.
to the ARPA funds.
Yes.
I don't know that this budget period, other than what we've spent with BH2M, that we've had other expenses yet.
Well, the Port City, which is not.
I meant for this budget period. Yes. What is that what you're asking, this budget?
Well, Kyler had asked me for a whole list of expenditures from the onset of this project, so way back to Port City, but I think you already have a running total of that. So,
I do not have
Okay.
any idea how much the first group spent.
okay.
And we can look at what the second group has spent. I don't have that in my head right now.
Because this is over 3 fiscal years, so it takes a bit of research for me to go back through all that and find out that information. So it's not something I can come up with in a half a day timeframe, so.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
but I think the big ticket item is what we paid Port City.
Mhm.
Everything else is, to be counted for sure, but I mean, we're not talking about large expenses. I mean,
We were going to estimate, we could just go with town meeting, the town report. Because everything is approved on special warrant items for the committee. I mean, the appropriations were all approved at each town meeting, so we could just go back, add those up. If we're trying to get to 5%, that's a pretty easy math, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's just going back to 3 town reports. I could actually do that.
I think the first one was about a $50,000 request out of the ARPA funds, which we have about 8,000 left to spend out of that. Yep, so,
Round it
yeah,
off. That's 50.
yep.
The second one was 50.
Yep, there's a second 50,000, which you currently have in this fiscal year,
455.
55.
So there you have it. That's
Or
what the town
500.
approved.
It is. It is not what we have spent, but it is
That's
what.
what the town has approved. I mean, you're asking for a commitment, and the town has committed through town meeting vote that much amount of money. So if that passes the 5%,
We would have to check that.
I would-
Isabel was very clear that permitting, she thought was very important to,
I'm absolutely sure it is.
Yeah.
My question is not, has nothing to do with the importance of permitting. It has to do with whether or not the vote allowed that. That's all.
And my only comment is, that's good thinking. We would have to ask Isabel if that 5% is money that has been committed or money that has been spent. Because we have spent a great deal less than what has been appropriated.
my question too would be, I'm sorry, did I?
No, go ahead.
I don't mind it going to the attorney at all. My only question would be,
Mine did it not.
well, I'm trying to be polite.
I'm trying to be clear.
I understand. But what I'm wanting to make sure, and I guess my question is, and this may be not worth asking, but how much he will understand. That's why I think maybe Kyler.
Yeah, that's my point.
How much he
Behind
will
asking if we could talk to him.
understand what the question is in the process.
I'm sure that if he wants to ask you a question, he'll give you a call. This is purely, there are 5 words in the warrant item that he'll need to interpret whether or not this applies to. And these words are pretty simple. So he needs to talk to you. I'm sure that he'll reach out to you.
So how do you handle that? because the attorney looks at our warrant articles before they
Good.
go, but this one was changed. So how do we handle that, making sure things are done in a way that's legally okay in the future when they change an article?
Always could refer back to the attorney. That's how we handle it. We always have.
We can't change it then if the town presented wording that wasn't
Right.
legally accurate, then we're stuck for a year.
The Select board cannot authorize any kind of expenditure of money without approval from the town.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's the beauty of town government, town meeting form of government is that residents have final authority. Downside is that you got to be pretty clear what you're asking for. You don't get it right the first time, you have to wait a year. I'm pretty sure that the attorney will approve this, but I'm not going to Google it. Googling it and say, well, the next phone call that comes to my phone said, oh yeah, well, I Googled it and it was okay.
No, we totally understand that. And we totally respect the attorney and we don't want to do anything that wasn't within the town's
Perfect.
thought. However, we do want to keep this going. And the Susan Collins issue is there with us. So.
We can only control what we can control, right? And this is something that is a very easy process to go through attorney, but anticipating the future of a political person is beyond the scope of the select board.
Oh, I totally understand that.
So good work, and we appreciate it. I don't want you
No,
to, I'm just
I've got,
trying to,
your answer.
I'm
is-
getting paid a lot of money to be very scrupulous here.
Your answer.
The agent letter was also asked about the agent letter. So Steve from BH2M sent an agent letter over. The committee wanted to address that at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Can Bill have a comment before we move to the letter?
Sure.
Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, this is for, the permitting. I guess we better hold on.
We'll hold off. Okay.
I'll see if I can talk more slowly than when I usually come up here. Bill Schmidt, Poland Range Road. It has been great working on the Future Facilities Committee, though I probably bring in different ideas when it comes to optimism for the project future. At the last town meeting, the citizens of Pownell, including likely everyone in this room, was under the assumption that a large portion of the funds for the combined facility would come from grants. If the conditions under which the vote was taken have changed, is it still legal to spend more money? Question for the attorney. As we have been sensing over several months, the chances of getting a large percentage paid through grants is dwindling. This was confirmed by our grant writer, Isabel Lee, at the last FFC meeting. Her words, quote, "We are in a really tough environment right now for both federal and extension by state grant funding for these kinds of infrastructure projects. There are small foundation grants out there, which I'm pursuing as we've discussed previously, but not big ticket items. So there are small foundation grants such as like Harold Dahl Fund and Libra Foundation, but those are all private grants. So there are grants for small projects that she's looking into. At the future facilities meetings and at an earlier select board meeting, I asked the FFC if the FFC should be considering a plan B or a plan C. We previously spent $30,000 to Port City Architecture. The cost for B2HM contract will be at least $62,000. We may have to spend another $170,000 for permitting. We don't know yet what other costs may come up, and the terms shovel ready appear to be an unknown moving target. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did Isabel also say we might have to come up with, let's say the project's $7 million. They want us to spend like 2 to, who knows, some undetermined other millions to show that we're really vested. I don't remember hearing the 5%, but that might have been after the case. Anyway, we can follow up on that. Every big project, like the combined facility, involves risk. At what point do we reassess the risk, such as the financial risk? Two things are for sure. Construction costs estimates will continue to go up. Rarely is there a project that doesn't have unforeseen costs and overruns. As we saw from the road commissioner when it comes to steel blades, we get a large percentage of our steel from Canada. And there's a lot of tariffs for the steel building. So whatever quotes we have for the facility right now are probably a lot more than what they are. The same probably holds for concrete and for tar. Given the economic and political climate, the chances for getting large percentage of the funds from the grants is slim, in my opinion. The top 10 odds makers say that Collins will not be our next senator, also Arista, if you believe the odds makers. Should the select board reassess the risk before applying any more funds to the project? The salt shed, fire station, public works buildings have had limited maintenance over the years. Perhaps 30,000 for repairs for each fire station, 20,000 for repairs and a break room for the public works garage, and an undetermined amount for the salt shed is needed. In 2027 or 2028, when we actually could be building this project, is the project going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million? We really don't know. We know it will be more. How much does the select board believe that we should spend before we consider developing a plan B or plan C? That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Any response to that? Bill, we're compelled by the last town meeting vote to follow the will of the people on Article 22, 23, and 24. Our oversight is merely fiscally on how those funds are spent. I may be incorrect, but I think no, I'm not incorrect. I just talked to the town manager of Sanford. They just got they just built a fire station and a public works building all on grants. They didn't spend any city money at all. They just completed them this year. So it is possible. Once again, I'd like to say that we are not in the habit of dealing with odds makers on political contests. I understand the caution about the process. Your caution is very appropriate. The town voted to appropriate $455,000 for the process. I'm not sure the select board has the authority, let me finish before you get up, does not have the authority to renege on its stewardship of that money. Now you make it up and respond.
Yeah, a good question for the attorney would be, based on that wording in the warrant, if the conditions have changed since we voted, do we put a blind eye to those conditions?
What conditions have changed?
The whole economic and political environment and the costs. And that's probably why that facility you just mentioned was built, because that was probably started 2 years ago, back when there was a lot of money available.
You could say about that about any project that was ever done.
Okay, so you're right, Bill. I mean, this is these are the times that try men's minds and women's minds, but this board is responsible to follow the will of the town meeting vote. But to do it cautiously, hence talk to the attorney and make sure that we are following what the town meeting actually voted on, okay? But thank you for your caution. Does anybody on the board have any objection to sending the request to the town attorney to make sure that this is an appropriate request?
I have no objection to that.
Okay, and then if it is an appropriate request, I know this is an if-then statement, but we can do this. Could we vote to agree to commit that money based on the attorney's opinion? Unless you feel like you have a different take on the wording of the warrant item. Or would you like to wait, get the attorney's opinion, then have the discussion in public next meeting? Sorry, that's another 2 weeks away, but that might be the best strategy so that everything is done public. Is that 2 weeks a critical time? Hold on, Shane, I'll get you in a minute. Your timeline, if it goes back two more weeks, is that, I realize the Susan Collins clock is ticking, but.
It is. I'm not gonna fight it.
Thanks. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it is what it is, right? We are compelled to be transparent. So what does the board say? I've done a lot of talking. What do you want to do?
My thought is that we check with the attorney about wording of the warrant and discuss this in 2 weeks and vote on it, hopefully in 2 weeks.
George?
I'm fine with that.
Sure.
Yep.
Sorry for the delay. I just want to make sure, okay?
Hey, obviously, this is not the answer that I was hoping for, but I've got no problem with that. You know, it's fair.
While you're here, Shane, thank you for being patient.
I just have one question. Is like a stipulation to this grant money that the town has a legal comprehensive plan?
That'd be part of the comprehensive plan?
No, is it in the grant money? Or like a stipulation to being eligible for the grant that the town has a legal comprehensive plan? Because if we do get everything approved and get to be eligible for the grant and the comprehensive plan isn't up to par, this whole thing would be dead in the water.
I believe that the town has.
We're gonna need, Tyler, I'll answer. We need to
Okay.
amend our comprehensive plan, but I feel like it'll be amended and gone up to town meeting vote in June. So your answer is, I think we'll be all set. That's a good question.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up.
No, good.
Absolutely. Susan.
I'm wondering if the attorney advises us not to, due to the wording, if he doesn't agree to that, can he give us some guidance on what we are able to do this year with that wording?
That's what we ask.
Okay, perfect.
What do you think? This is the recommendation from the committee. Does it fit into the warrant item? And if it does, then that's fine.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, can you recommend way to
Give us some guidance.
give us some guidance on how to get to this shovel-ready definition that we need to, that our planner has said this site, I'm lost now, it's site review, site planning, site permitting. Sorry. You know, can we fit this site permitting within the warrant item?
Thank you.
It's a good point. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I really, all your, the whole committee's work, I really do. The whole board does. Thank you. Oof. I guess I know what they mean when they say Rome wasn't built in a day. Takes time. Does take time. Thank you, Kyler. Yeah. Hope this one's an easier one. Warranty for Western Star. Dan, you want to step up or sit down? Just make sure everyone knows what we're doing here.
The reason why I'm looking at that is, looking at other vehicles that we have, the cost of maintaining these vehicles have gone through the roof. And it's a new vehicle. We have one that's already warranted. It's worked out quite well. We lost a oil pan and a radiator, and that was all taken care of under the warranty. So where we don't have a shop really that has the computers and everything that you have to have for the DEF systems and everything, it's, to me, it's really worth the money to go and get that warranty on that brand new truck that we have.
Yeah. So can you tell us how much the warranty for the Western Star truck is? Does anyone have any questions about the Dan about the warranty, what it covers, the value of it?
Oh, you have it? Okay.
The reason why he's asking?
It's 5,530. 5,000, and it's 5 years, yep. And the only thing, it covers everything except for tires, brakes and oil changes. But our 2021 truck still has, it's 5 years old. It still has the same tires on it, same brakes. We don't go through that stuff. So this warranty basically will make it so we really, for the next 5 years, we won't have to have that money in the, equipment,
Absolutely.
line item. You're saving that amount, because we don't put the miles on like some trucks do, so.
Any questions about this warranty? Now, Andy O'Brien who's on a capital projects committee, had a suggestion that perhaps there's money still in that appropriation
Right.
that could be used for the warranty. To me, it would make sense that it would be applicable. I mean, it's part of the purchase. We decided not to purchase it, but it could
Right.
be part of the purchase. But that would need to be, we would need to recommend to the capital projects committee to consider expending that money from, where would that be found? Would that be found in a line item in their budget? Or is that accessible to the town?
We have an expense line in the accounting software for capital projects that carry forward until they're done. So I guess the question would be, if we bought a warranty on the other one, was it part of the capital purchase, or did we pay for it out of equipment maintenance? We might want to look at that, but I'll know in the morning what's left.
So the question to the board is, would you A, be in favor of approving the expense, 5,000 change for the warranty for 5 years? And B, would you recommend the capital projects committee appropriating that money from the expense line item that we use to purchase the truck? Complicated, but simple request. George?
I'm fine with it. I think it passes the straight face test. I mean, this should have been purchased when we bought the truck new, so we've got the full, from the looks of it, 7 years, 100,000 mile on it. But now we've waited a year or two, we're down to 5 years, so $5,500 is cheap money.
Yeah, and we're going with a lower mileage because our newest truck there, the 21 that we have has like 26,000 on it. We don't put the mileage on either, so I tried to get the lowest mileage one, but still get the 5 years out of it, for the lower cost.
B?
Makes sense to me.
Okay, so I'm going to move that we approve the request for warranty for the Western Star, total at $5,530, and that we recommend to the capital, I can remember the
Capital asset planning.
capital asset planning committee, that they approve expending that money from the expense account that's attached to the Western Star purchase. Can I get a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the warranty for the Western Star truck. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay,
Thank you very much.
so we've approved it.
Yeah.
If we can't get it out of the capital assets project, then we'll get it out of your budget somewhere.
Yeah, out of my
Okay.
maintenance budget. Yep,
But hopefully we can get it out, that's.
that would help. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dan. Did we pass this by the to whom it may concern? By this letter, the undersigned author.
Yeah, that's an agent letter that goes along with BH2M. So once we get the information from the town attorney, then we can address this agent letter. They wanted us to sign it as far as they would represent us in the permitting. But while we're questioning the permitting, we can hold on that.
Attached to the next meeting. All right, next item on is housing information. Shane, you're up.
After reviewing anything or everything, did the select board have any questions on anything?
Any questions for Shane from the board? Thank you for all this information. It was very informative. I went through it all. I think made an error in that we passed by a vote, and the ordinance requires us to really address your request. So we will take that up right now. But is there anything more that you'd like to add? This very compelling information.
So my biggest point to this is, I think I'm the first, if not only one, that's ever tried to put rental housing into Pownell. Like 90% of the housing here is owner occupied, and the other 10% is churches, housing, and businesses and stuff like that. But I don't think anybody's ever came to Pownell to put in affordable housing.
Okay, I'm not sure that's a correct percentage because we do have a number of rentals here, but you are right. You're the first person that has approached the board and asked for a waiver of the impact fee due to, there have been no other people.
Right.
Request. So your request is, once again, to waive the impact fee, because is your assertion that you are building affordable housing, and the impact fee states Section 8, waiver, variance, refund, or other modifications. Impact fees shall be refunded in the following cases. And your statement was, the project number 3, the project subject to the impact fee involves the construction of affordable housing as defined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development or the Maine State Housing Authority. If only a part of the project is affordable housing, the select board of the town may refund only the portion of the fee attributed to the affordable units. Or, so once again, there's language here, and the attorney emphasized the word may, and that's why we bypassed the vote, because we were allowed by the attorney to use our discretion. I think your request with all the information is you would like a determination so that you may appeal a decision if it's not favorable to you. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And I apologize that we probably should have had some forethought that you probably would want to appeal that. So I'm going to direct the board once again to reconsider Mr. Brady's request to waive the impact fee due to Section 8, Section 3 of the impact fee ordinance. Okay, so we'll need to have a motion, and that motion will have to carry into a discussion, okay, because I think there's some questions. Thank you, Shade. Yep. So I'm going to move that we waive the impact fee due to Section 8, Section 3 of the impact fee ordinance. I need you to second it so we can have discussion.
Second it.
Moving second. Now we can discuss it. Now we can discuss more. So the question for me is, A, is this a project? And I can't imagine what the writers of the impact fee were thinking, but there are 2 words in this Section 3. One is the project. You have to define what a project is. Is 1 house, 2 houses, is that a project? And may, so the select board may acknowledge, accept a request for a waiver. Now, the attorney emphasized, and correct me if I'm wrong, Becky, that may is important, because we have to decide whether or not this will set a precedent and other people who have paid impact fees based on the same square footage, same bedroom, same the qualifications, there's no reason why these manufactured homes would have less of an impact on the town of Pownell based on the criteria that we assess the impact fee on. There'll still be people living there. They'll still use services. So there are a lot of questions here, and that's why, you know, I felt like we could dodge it, but we can't dodge it. We need to respond to Mr. Brady's request. Becky?
That is correct. The word may, the town attorney spoke about as being a very important word in there because it gives you the authorization to do it or not to do it, so to speak. So you, in this discussion, that word may is very important. You're right, there's still impact, you know, on the new builds. So that was a point that was brought up by the town attorney as well, is to think about if you do waive these, the precedent is set. What does that look like in terms of others? Does this meet the requirements?
I can't consider my thoughts about what the originators of this impact fee ordinance meant. And I don't want to read into it, but it would seem to me that if someone, you know, a developer like Mr. Brady came in and wanted to build a project with multiple units that would be an affordable housing project, that's what this Section 3 speaks to. And I am an originalist, but I can't imagine, you know, I can't imagine whether they were considering if you wanted to put in a mobile home or manufactured home. I'm not sure what the terminology is that you would use, but I'll say manufactured home, hoping we all can agree that that's what it is. If individuals wanted to put manufactured homes in the town of Pownell, would they all be considered affordable housing and therefore be appropriate for this waiver? With that, so I'm looking for comments, thoughts from the board or for the administrator. Where are we going to go with this?
We just finished a lengthy discussion about the cost of just trying to get site permitting for a new fire station public works facility. There's been discussion ever since I've been on the board about how woefully inadequate our current facilities are and how bad the need is and how timely it is for us to move on with those kind of projects. And I just feel like the timing just isn't great to be refunding impact fees. And I think I mentioned that at the prior meeting when we discussed this, that it has nothing to do with, and the only thing I can think of without knowing what people were thinking is that maybe they were trying to find a way to incentivize developers to put in affordable housing rather than building large, expensive homes that increase everybody's taxes through valuation and drive people out. So it's something that I appreciate all this information, Shane, because I've given this a lot of careful consideration. But I appreciate going over it again because, and I appreciate your efforts. It's like I said, I feel like if it's up to the discretion of the board, this is where I'm coming from.
George?
I feel pretty similar to Kate. Well, again, thank you, Shane, for the information. I'm more on the precedent that it sets. I personally don't feel that your project is substantial enough to meet what I feel the originators may have been thinking, but I'm not going to try and go there. To me, you're putting in 2 single-family dwellings, so they'll have the same impact as every other one in the town. And to me, I can't in good conscience say, yeah, let's waive your impact fees when there's multiple other people in town building single-family lots that are having the same exact impact on the town. That's where I stand.
Okay, sure.
So the only thing I got to comment to that, everybody else that has put in single family lots or in building them for personal use, building these to provide housing for other people. So it wouldn't fall underneath the same category, even though it's still two houses. Like the difference is not, for me personally, is for other people to have an affordable place to live.
But in my viewpoint, it will still have the same impact to the town. There's still gonna be at least a couple of cars, a car at each lot. They'll still be utilizing the town facilities, the town services. So that's, to me, it has the same impact as single-family dwellings.
Okay.
All right, so,
So go ahead.
thank you. I'm just trying to compose my thoughts before I hear your next thing. So I think there's got to be a way to encourage affordable housing. But I'm not sure it's going to be this way. And you are correct in that you are the only person that has come before the planning board or the select board since I've been here that has been, has been specifically asking to be recognized for bringing in affordable housing in the town of Pownell, which is part of the comprehensive plan. I think we all recognize that town getting more and more expensive to live in. I think that I just want to publicly acknowledge that, so you hear that in a town meeting. I think the board will probably rule against you, and I want you to be able to have appeal recourse. Okay. So I don't want you to go away. Again, I'm sort of anticipating a vote. I don't want you to go away thinking that the town does not appreciate your efforts to bring in affordable housing. Just think this ordinance, along with other ordinances which you have discovered, is pretty clumsy in ways that has to be interpreted. Your intent is honorable. Town, the common good, select board has to vote from my perspective. Thank you for being patient. You were going to say something.
So from my research and going through the whole process, I don't believe that anybody else will ever put affordable housing in the Pownell unless things drastically change. Mostly because this project is going to run at a net loss its whole life. And
You could be that agent for change.
but then it would also start off on the wrong foot because the first affordable housing project didn't get the impact fees reimbursed, which also puts a burden on the developer, which evidently trickles down and puts the burden on the renter. Because every dollar that it costs to
You're right.
build.
Just want you to hear that you may be the agent for change. Sorry that I think we disagree on the methodology, but I think the whole board agrees that something has to happen for people to be able, people like me to be able to live in town of Pownell. So unless you have anything else, I'm going to call for a vote.
Yeah, that's fine.
So once again, thank you. You've educated me on a lot of things. Kate?
I would just kind of add that my wish would be, it is a question, I think, a little bit of how, whether we're able to incentivize people to build affordable housing. And my wish would be that the developer can absorb the costs of the impact fees and still build affordable housing because it's the right thing to do and they care about the town and they care about providing housing for people. Unfortunately, I know it's a cynical world that we live in, but that's.
Just to circle back to that, I did just go to the planning board for a different project, and evidently it got denied. When I first started out, that was the plan, because the way that it was originally gonna get developed, I would have been able to absorb all the costs of everything. And then it would have provided nice affordable homes for, members of the community. But in the 7 or 8 months that I went through the process, the only thing that happened was everything went round and round in circles, and it just drove up the development costs. And evidently, nothing came of it except for these 2 houses. So that was my original intention on the whole project. But because of the stigma or the atmosphere around it, it got shut down.
We can't speak to planning board decision, but
Right, yeah, it's just to circle back to,
all right, so the motion's on the floor to approve the waiver of the, for affordable housing for the impact fee. All those in favor? All those opposed? So now you have an avenue for appeal, and I apologize for the 2-week delay for our procedural miscue from 2 weeks ago. But we did consider it. We just didn't consider it in a way that you could appeal it. So that was inappropriate. So hope you accept my apology. All right, next item on the agenda is volunteer form for Coralie Green Mallet Hall Buildings and Grounds.
She just joined the CAP committee. She has now decided she would like to add Mallet Hall to her volunteer.
Move that we approve Coralie Green to the Mallet Hall Building and Ground Committee.
Second it.
Moving second, any discussion? All in favor? Next item is volunteer form for Douglas Robbins, Mallet Hall Building and Ground Committee.
He has also indicated election clerk. We'll be doing that one in a couple of months, but he,
I
like to-
move that we approve Douglas Robbins, the Mallet Hall Building and Ground Committee.
Second it.
Discussion. Favor? Is this a signer? Should we sign?
yep, the oaths are ready for signing.
All right. Any other new business?
We just had the IOB, the comprehensive plan IOB on there to, you asked me to put that on the agenda. I did reach out to Isabel to see if she could, in another scope of work for the town, work on it. She does not have the capacity till probably the end of this year to do it. She gave me a recommendation of another company up the coast. We could effectively look at that. Her cost would be substantially lower. I did talk with the CEO in terms of that. He felt that we could wait for her if we want to.
We need to get direction from our attorney to make sure that we're in compliance with our contract.
I can add that to our agenda. Yep.
If not, how do we get there?
Right.
I think it's a pretty easy fix. I think the state probably would be able to direct us to redo it. So do we agree we'll wait for Isabella, depending on the attorney's determination on whether or not we're in compliance? Good, okay. Sorry that I missed that.
Okay.
I was so anxious to get out of here. No, she had already had a volunteer form. We were just old business, Ampion Solar.
I have one quick thing too. I just, under new businesses came up literally this afternoon, so I'm not allowed to make the official announcement, but I have been given authorization from the state to say we did get the official grant award letter today for the, from Community Resilience Partnership Program for the heat and cool pumps that we applied for last year. I just need the board to give me permission to sign that. Ben has already looked over the whole grant letter and said everything looks good, so.
Move that we authorize the town administrator to sign the grant man.
Second it.
Any further discussion? Favor?
Great, I will get that back tomorrow.
Under new business, we had an alternate. Did you have your hand up?
For whole business.
Okay, not yet. Under new business, we had a resignation from the planning board. So we'll need to, Paul Kerrigan stepping down, so we'll need to fill an alternate position for the planning board, if anyone knows of anybody who are interested.
We're putting that in the constant contact. That will go out in the next week too, so.
Okay. Any other new business? Any old business?
Jesse Peters, Fire Chief, Allen Road. In the last meeting, you asked me to go back to the fire department and talk about the sand bucket brigade. And I got a bunch of volunteers. So I will give you their names and emails.
Great, we've had a couple of community
phone
members
numbers.
reached out too, so yeah, a lot of people have reached out.
We should write a protocol. We might have to buy a few white buckets.
We should have some, I thought, in the basement, right?
Either the basement or you have some in the fire department as well.
There's none at the station. Yeah.
I know we did, and we've just sort of fallen out of rhythm.
Yeah.
So we'll try to get a protocol, so we have buckets at the homes and buckets here, so it can just be an easy exchange.
Yeah, and so some of the folks can only do it on weekends.
Yeah.
But some of them can do it during the week.
Perfect. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. Ampion Solar.
So I reached out to the town administrator for the town of Brooksville, Maine, and she steered me in the direction of, she put me in contact with the select board chair, John Gray. He called me, left me a message. I called him back, had a short discussion. He said they have not had any complaints about residents that signed on to Ampion. They have not had any complaints from the town that signed on to Ampion. He said of the fundraising money, of the partnership money that Ampion was agreed to pay based off the big check, what he said was that the big check was for $4,100 and they'd only thus far received $2,900. And he said, it's good that you called because it reminds me I need to pursue that and reach out to them and find out what's going on with the rest of the money. So that's what I have as far as the firsthand experience of Brooksville. And he said, I don't know that they aren't going to pay me. I just haven't pursued it. I can follow up on it again if you like. I did have this thought, which I will just kind of mention, which is that I think this is a little bit of a two-part thing. Becky, you've said you have concerns about kind of vouching for the company and trying to push the partnership forward or encourage residents to sign up based on it. I feel like it's a two-part thing. I feel like if we decide as the town that we want to sign on to it in order to save some money on electrical bills, we could try doing that. And that might be a separate thing from having a partnership with the company. So that's just a thought.
What do you think, Becky?
I don't want to have to chase money, that's for certain, but I just don't know enough. For me, I would love to see a bill. I'd love to see Brooksville, if they could scan and send me a CMP bill and an Ampion bill and show me what those pieces look like in hard numbers. That would be helpful to me. I need it in real time. That's just how my brain works for these things, so.
I agree. I'm so linear that I just can't wrap my hands around.
Mhm.
Totally support renewable energy. Totally thought the idea of town moving in that direction.
That's why we enrolled in the Resilience Partnership, was to move in that direction. So absolutely.
So would you reach out to Mr. Will you have a spare moment?
Sure.
Select Board of the Town of Brooksville and say, would you be willing to, maybe more appropriate for our town administrator? So would you be able to scan, we're interested in Ampion. We're really just trying to correct our references, check our references. Would you be willing to send Bill?
Yep.
So we could just look at it.
Absolutely.
That make sense? George? You've been really quiet about Ampion, George. All right, so we'll put that on next week's meeting agenda. Any other old business? Any correspondence?
I just want to report that I had a impromptu visit from the Vice Chair of Durham Solid Waste Committee. They are about to move into automation, and so they just wanted to kind of ask how it all played out. So a little bit of our growing pains. I just sat down with her and talked about the education, the delivery of the carts, and just kind of how it all worked. And they have a current tag program over there. They're looking actually at moving to a bagged pay-as-you-throw program. And they're still sort of weighing those options as far as compliancy and the technology and all that. But just wanted to report that they popped over to just ask how it's been going.
Thank you. Any other correspondence? No one calling you guys? All right, any other business? Then I will move to adjourn.
A second?
All in favor?